volunteers going.
There you go.
Least we can do.
Okay, what do you expect to do today?
Well, gonna put a lot of plants in the ground. I've been doing this for several years with ONDA, and I'm excited to get down there and see what has carried over from the previous years, how things look.
You said you've done this a few years?
Yeah, I think I've been coming out to the South Fork Crooked here about 5-6 years with ONDA. So, first came out here about 25 years ago before Otto owned the land, and it's quite a difference. It's amazing what a little care can do to an area.
So what's it look like? Why is it different?
When we were out here 25 years ago, it was overrun with cattle. The stream bed, it was wide and flat and shallow and pretty much denuded. And now the stream's narrowed. It's got this nice cut-in banks, a lot more streamside vegetation, a lot greener. It's just beautiful to see.
How'd you sleep last night?
Shivered for the first hour or two, and then the owl started up and kept me waking up all night. But that's not a bad way to wake up. Not as bad as a couple years ago when it was 17 degrees, but it was still chilly last night. But this beats working any day.
And so one of the tools that we're using out here is a beaver dam analog. And what happens with beaver dam analogs is at one time I was talking about how it's hard to find moist soil that's far enough from the river that it doesn't get flooded out in the spring, but has soil moisture all year long so the plants don't die. And the fluctuation of the river makes that more problematic, harder to find. Well, if you have beaver dam analogs, it keeps the water at the same level and allows us to have a little bit more predictable soil moisture, and also spreads out that soil moisture so we have a wider area to plant instead of just a narrow strip right along the river. So we're gonna go that way a little bit.
They don't have to reach the settle in. And so this area here is your owner. You own it, right?
Yeah, there's 1,230 acres, I think.
Okay.
About 2 square miles.
Okay. And how long have you been working to improve the riparian lands?
Actually, from 2003 was when I bought it, April 2003.
What's the significance of these beaver dams?
I think they're trying to, Oregon State University, Matt Orr is the professor. He's trying to mimic what it was like before the white man showed up, and he's trying to figure out how much the water goes back into the ground opposite of the beaver dams. And he's checking water levels before and after the dams. And
Do you? So what's your kind of hope for the future of this land?
Kind of 3 things, I think. Restore the land for all wildlife, including birds, insects, fish. To maybe I'm really interested in youth groups. We had a lot of youth groups come out, fly fishing schools, and I'm interested in having young people come out. And maybe the main thing is to kind of set an example that others might follow.
Of people kind of finding a task they like and sticking with that. You don't feel like you have to do everything. If you're not excited about digging, don't feel like you have to go from digging through all the way to putting the plant in the ground. It's super useful just to have people who put the plant in the ground and are good at that and are careful with that. And then there are people that just like to jump on a shovel and can just bang out a bunch of holes. And that's great too. And then it becomes very Ford factory-like. So so once you find a place that you think is kind of okay, basically if you do a shovel width square, like this, and about shovel depth. And then, especially if you're a shovel person, a digging person that's cooperating with somebody with a trowel, that's nice. But then you do a little tidy up, but you don't have to make the hole very fancy. But that'll kill off the grass.
And then put the way the plant kind
And
of
then you can put the plant sideways.
comes off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's fine. And that's the
And then put the dirt on top of the roots.
Yeah.
Basically.
yeah. And just make sure
And do the
it's
same-
well covered.
And do the same deal here where you loosen it up and get the dirt off. And, Okay.
But just when you loosen up that dirt, don't put it on a new piece of grass, patch of grass, because you'll lose it in that grass. So.
Well, I see, so they're probably, they like. You gonna plant that?
Yeah, sure. And then lay that in there like that. And then I'll use my trowel to tamp it.
And really, do yourself a favor. Your hole, the less deep you have to do your hole, the less work you have to do. So, like in that one, John, when you take the plant out of the pot, really work that dirt off into your pile.
Have you been to other ONDA trips?
Yeah. Yeah, this is my fourth ONDA trip.
Fourth one. Okay. What do you think of ONDA, what ONDA's trying to do with this area?
I appreciate it. I appreciate the effort to restore riparian habitat. I think that the cows have done tremendous damage, and I would love to see a return to the native ecosystems. The riparian restoration is important to me.
Good. Okay. Any final words?
I just hope that we get our priorities straight and start respecting all the life forms that inhabit this beautiful land, and I want them to survive, and I want to see the return of the beavers and the return of the animals whose habitat this was before we messed it up.
She has spent years working with the adjacent landowners to the wilderness study areas, trying to get their buy-in.
How many trips have you been on with ONDA?
This is my first trip with ONDA.
And the first day of work.
Yeah, this is my first day of work with this organization.
What'd you think?
We worked as hard. A lot of stewardship things I do are pretty much a day off. You get off 2 hours early, and but these guys like to work. I discovered ONDA on the internet last year, and I was excited about all the tree plantings, and so I got on board this time.
Great. You think you'll be going to other ONDA trips in the future?
I do.
So what do you think of what they're trying to do here in this riparian area?
I think it's all very interesting. I think, their attitude is really upbeat. They've shared some successes, and they've shared some catastrophic failures, and they just celebrate the successes and they keep driving. So I can appreciate that.
Right. Yeah, I can already see that.
You called?
All right, okay. So what did you just do?
I just poured dirt in a hole.
Okay. How many holes
It's
have
pretty
you?
scientific.
How many holes
Dig
have
a
you?
hole, then pour dirt in it.
How many holes have you filled so far?
Oh, today?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, not today. Yesterday.
I have no idea.
Yeah, a
I
lot.
didn't keep as many as I could.
Yeah. All right. So how's it going, guys? All right,
Great.
Judy, how's it going?
Oh, right now it's hardly blowing. How's that animal protecting your wind?
We're going to find out.
Yeah, okay, good. I like that. I like that.
What do you think, Kathleen, of the day so
I
far?
think it's a pretty great day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Planting, little cloud cover, little wind, little sun. Good to go.
There you go. And how many trips you been on before?
This is the first.
First one. What'd you think?
It was great. Great people, wonderful place. Feels good to do some good for the landscape and the wildlife. It's been a great trip.
You gonna do any more, maybe?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Where are you from?
Bend?
Have you been out to these parts before?
Never, no. I'm originally from California, and this is great landscape. I love the wild part of it.
Great.
We love you, Jefferson. We love you.
Jefferson down at the other end.
What's that?
At the other end it's 720 plus 25 milkweed.
You guys rock.
Hey.
That's what, like walking around.
Good job, guys.
Yeah.
And the math is impeccable.
Yeah, the math is crazy.
Peter Warner.
And have you been on these trips before?
I have been on a few of these trips before.
And what'd you think of them?
My back lodges objections, but it's excellent work, and the people who come on these trips are fun to be with, fun to meet, so I think that balances out.
You've been on other trips before?
I have. I've been here before to the South Fork of the Crooked River, been to Cherry Creek, Sylvie's Valley Ranch, and the annual meetings at Hancock Field Station.
Uh-huh. And I assume you'll be coming out again?
I hope to, yes.
That's good. Kneel down. Good. Okay, you're there. All right. Now I gotta make sure you're all. Let's see. That's it. Move forward a little bit. No, that's good. Okay. I don't want anybody's face to be.
Get back a little. Back. Okay. Hold on. Flash. Tilt to the left.
All right. Okay. All right. Here we go. So how long you been with ONDA?
Since 2008, so 9 years now.
How many trips have you done so far?
Well, 10 to 12 a year for each year, so a lot of trips.
So you said best part is the helping the land. Is that what you said?
Yeah, well, it can improve or help the ecosystems recover in Eastern Oregon. You know, there's passive restoration and active restoration, and we do a bit of both. We help encourage managers or property owners to release the pressures that are causing problems, and then we volunteer our time and provide funding to help restore the land with plantings or other ways.
So how do you feel about this trip?
This trip went great. I mean, we got in so much, so many plants yesterday, almost 800 plants and almost 900 plants today, and everybody works absolutely to the top level of their ability and stays cheery and joking the whole time. I'm really proud of everyone, and it's a real personal level of appreciation that I have for the hard work everyone's done.